In the early 8th century, an unstoppable military force was sweeping across the globe, erasing old borders and rewriting the map. This map tracks the rapid expansion of the Umayyad Caliphate. By 730 CE, it had swallowed territories stretching all the way from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the borders of Sindh in the east. With wealth flowing into its capital in Damascus, the Caliphate possessed resources and manpower that dwarfed neighboring empires. Their next target was the Indian subcontinent. Arab governor Junayd al-Muri marched east with an overwhelming force of up to 60,000 soldiers. This army included heavily armored infantry and elite Syrian cavalry, and it was aimed squarely at Ujjain, the gateway to the fertile Ganges plains. India was highly vulnerable. The subcontinent was fractured into regional, bickering kingdoms, leaving it completely unprepared to face a unified, continent-spanning invasion force. In a political landscape where kings typically fought and fell in isolation, Nagabhata I recognized that the only path to survival was a complete break from tradition. He realized that saving his civilization required a strategy of collective defense that no Indian ruler had attempted before. Meet Nagabhata I, the ruler of Ujjain. He looked at the 60,000 Umayyad troops marching his way and recognized a simple mathematical reality. Fighting them alone guaranteed total annihilation. Notice how the map shifts here. Nagabhata initiated a diplomatic shift that set aside generations of regional rivalry. He formed a tripartite Great Confederacy, where the Gurjara-Pratiharas, the Guhilas of Mewar, and the southern Chalukyas locked their borders together into a single defensive wall. Even with their forces combined, the Indian alliance was severely outnumbered. They were facing an enemy equipped with heavy iron chainmail, technology specifically designed to make soldiers nearly invulnerable in close-quarters combat. Nagabhata knew a direct clash on the border would be a massacre, so he employed a strategy known as defense in depth. He ordered his armies to deliberately retreat, luring the massive Umayyad force away from their safe supply lines. What you are looking at is the kill zone, the unforgiving, rolling sand dunes of the Thar Desert. Under the brutal 122-degree Fahrenheit summer heat, the environment itself went to work. That advanced heavy chainmail worn by the Umayyad soldiers rapidly transformed from their greatest asset into a fatal liability. Nagabhata didn't attempt to match the enemy sword for sword. He weaponized the local geography to completely neutralize their technological advantage. As the Umayyad supply column stretched and eventually snapped, local Indian infantry moved in secretly, poisoning or filling in the desert wells. Dehydration and exhaustion set in. The trap sprang. Bappa Rawal's forces struck the flanks. The Chalukyas closed the southern escape route, boxing the invaders into the desert. Finally, Nagabhata unleashed his elite light cavalry. Moving swiftly over the sand, they tore directly through the paralyzed front line. The outcome was the Battle of Rajasthan in 738 CE. The Umayyad army was crushed, and their eastward expansion was halted in its tracks. The Umayyad military machine was broken by a coalition that synchronized geographic warfare with tactical patience. But just as the dust settled, an exhausted Nagabhata faced an entirely new crisis. A massive invasion force was marching up from the south toward his capital, led by Danti Durga, the founder of the Rashtrakuta Empire. Nagabhata was caught in an agonizing dilemma. He could draw his sword and fight a second war he was guaranteed to lose, resulting in his own glorious death, but leaving his people completely defenseless. Instead, he made a shocking decision. When Danti Durga held a grand royal ritual in Ujjain to declare his absolute supremacy, the scarred, battle-tested Nagabhata attended. He submitted, acting as Danti Durga's Pratihara, a lowly doorkeeper, standing aside to let his rival pass. Nagabhata had traded a symbolic loss of status for the physical preservation of his borders. By yielding to Danti Durga's ego, he ensured his kingdom, and the wall it formed against the west remained intact. The moment Danti Durga completed his ritual and marched his army back south, Nagabhata immediately began rebuilding his Gurjara-Pratihara empire, organizing it into a stronger, more fortified state than before. Meanwhile, the sheer trauma of the desert trop reached the Caliphate's capital. The defeat was so absolute that Baghdad abandoned all future plans to conquer the Indian mainland. Look at the scale of the Kailasa temple at Ellora. Engineering of this magnitude takes generations of stability. Nagabhata's victory bought India nearly 300 years of peace from Western invasions, allowing a massive cultural golden age in art, mathematics, and science to flourish. As we trace the upward lines of these complexes, we are looking at the direct result of that protected era. The longevity of Indian civilization was secured by this combination of regional alliance and tactical retreat. Nagabhata proved that a culture survives when its leaders value the endurance of the state over the preservation of their own pride.